Okay, it's something I want to kind of vent a little bit. Y'all kind of work with me. Something I'm kind of thinking about, the presumption of death, right? When I first started studying this and really getting the clarity about it, well, my understanding about it, my first thoughts were that maybe they have in there maybe an order put in place that's been sitting there, waiting on you to rebut it. So this is why I went on that journey, to try to rebut that order, okay? And I went to probate court to file a petition, but I have no proof that there's an order that's actually put in place presuming that I'm dead. Keep in mind, a presumption can be just like all the other presumptions that they do when they walk you and you in court. The presumptions, there are no orders put in place that actually creates these presumptions. The presumption is already implied, until you rebut it. So if you don't go in there, say if you put your paperwork in court and you don't state your position on the record, the presumption, it stands. And presumption of death is no different. This is what I'm thinking now. Yeah, and it makes perfect sense to me. Just like there's a presumption that you're operating as the dens legis when you walk into court and you state your name for the record and you say Mike, me for instance, Mike Roseman. Nothing else on the record, nothing on the record stating who I am in relationship to that name. In relation to that name that's on their docket, then they're gonna move forward as if I'm acting as the Sesta K Trust, because there's nothing that's rebutting that presumption. There's no order put in place that says that that he's operating as such. It's just implied because you didn't rebut it. You didn't put anything. I didn't put anything on the record that will confirm anything to the contrary. So they're flowing with that presumption. And it's the same thing with any other case. I say that to say this is what makes affidavits so powerful. Is because, like I said in previous videos, only a living man or woman can actually do an affidavit. A legal fiction can't do an affidavit. That's why they, when it says that, like even the Constitution says that the public officials, their power derived from the consent of the governed. That's the not the Constitution, but the Declaration of Independence. It's in that, and so that's where their power comes from, And you going in there operating with your status is not on the record. They're going to go with the presumption of whatever it is, however it is you present yourself. Presentation is key. And this is why it's always that's why affidavits it's always good to put the affidavits in there stating who you are in relationship to that and to the name that's on the record. And once you do that, then now it's any presumption that they may have that are put in place, you're addressing those in that affidavit, it will rebut that presumption. And of course, I would always have any affidavit or anything created like an affidavit, like a petition, so to speak, for an example, will have two witnesses signed on there, because every word is established by 2 or 3 witnesses according to the maxim of law and scripture. So, that's how I do anything that I'm, swearing or affirming under penalty of perjury. So it will have witnesses attached to it, signing off on it as well. So that rebuts the presumption of death when you actually put an affidavit in a court case. That's what I guess that's what I'm getting around to saying. It's just like this petition I typed up that I'm going to go file tomorrow in my court case. I'm going to go file it tomorrow. I got it ready. I just got to go get it notarized. And once I get it notarized and witnessed, and I'll be getting witnessed and notarized at UPS, a UPS store, you can do that, y'all. You don't have to know people. You don't have to bring nobody with you. in order to get something notarized and have witnesses to sign your stuff. Keep in mind, you don't have to actually know the witnesses, okay? If there's witnesses to a crime, the police are they're gonna interview witnesses. They don't have to. They're just people that actually saw this. They can witness whatever it is that's going on in that situation. Those are people who actually eyewitnesses who saw the crime. They can tell what happened. But someone actually, if you know somebody that actually have firsthand knowledge about your situation, you can have them if you want to. But to have a witness on your document, witnessing you saying this oath or whatever, you can actually do that. You can have them to witness, or you could state in there what they're actually signing on to, and they'll read it. If you're rebutting any type of presumption or whatever, whatever it is you're trying to do, you could state in there where they put their name, then they put their name, witnessing, and whatever it is that they witness or whatever, and you have them to sign off on it. One print, one to sign or whatever. However you set it up, it's up to you. But I always have two witnesses. That's just me. That's, you do it how you do it, but that's what I do. And so that's what I'll be doing. And I want to also touch on the equity. The maxim of law about equity, it says him who wants to do equity, they must do equity. I paraphrasing it. You know what the fuck I mean. Let me see what it say. Say you must do equity. If your intentions are to do equity, you got to do equity. What's the key word? The base word to equity would be equal. You want to do what's fair. I've wrestled with myself throughout the years. I got to be honest. Throughout the years, I've wrestled with myself about the unfairness that's been going on with keeping my child from me, keeping my little boy from me for all these years, and how she needs to be paid back for what she did. You know what I'm saying? And, if I do this here and I do this here, I can get them, I got superior claim and all this different stuff I was saying in my paperwork, even in the beginning. Having superior claim over my son and this type of stuff. And that type of thinking was not equitable thinking, if you think about it. Because equity is like what's equal, what's fair. And it also says something about doing something that should have been done. As a matter of fact, let me see if I could look that up. See if my phone will pick up the Wi-Fi at my house. I'm in my driveway, so I think it's picking it up. Let me see. I'm using this other phone. The phone I normally use for the gym. So I'm going to... But that's what it says. Hold on, I'm going to pause it for a second. Okay. So if you're trying to get equitable remedy, just looking at the word equitable, it said equitable means fair and impartial. Keep in mind, that's what the judges and, the judges are in their oath of office. They took an oath to be fair and impartial. That's being equitable. That's also aligned with the Constitution. That's where your mind should be when you're trying to get remedy. You're trying to get things to be equal. You want things to be fair. You don't want, so you're more likely to get the remedy from the courts that you're seeking if you have an equitable mentality. And that's another reason why I tell people to work on your anger. Work on your emotions, because if you're emotional, you find yourself pissed off and you really just want to make that joker pay for what they did to you. And that mentality makes a case hard to beat, because your spirit man is not in its right place. When it's in its right place, then you'll find a different turnaround. You'll find more favorable. You'll get more favorable results. Let me finish reading equitable. Equitable means fair and impartial. In legal context, it can relate to equity as opposed to law. Say the distinction between equity and law originates from England, where courts were divided into two kinds: courts of equity and courts of law. For example, the court of equity, as opposed to courts of law, can give equitable relief. Equitable relief represents the remedy apart from money damages. For example, ordering a losing party to fulfill their contractual duties. It says see specific performance. This represents an outcome based on fairness and justness rather than legal technicalities. Okay. In the United States, almost all courts have combined jurisdiction over equitable have combined jurisdiction over equity and law. Okay, so when you seek an equity, you're trying to get something to happen that's fair. So if you're trying to tap into the equitable side, the equity side of a court case, you want to approach them, and you want them to do what's fair, not what's going to give you an edge on the next person, because now you want to shit on somebody else's rights in order to enforce your rights. Let them hang themselves. Don't ask the court for something. Don't ask the court for something that's going, that's really just trying to shit on somebody else, in an attempt to avenge what they did to you. So this is another thing I want to point out. Hold on a second. Okay, I just found I just decided to look up equity, and Cornell law is what I'm using for both of these terms. So in law, and I'm pretty much saying damn near the same thing. It says in law, the term equity refers to a particular set of remedies and associated procedures involved with civil law. These equitable doctrines and procedures are distinguished from legal ones. It says while remedies typically involve monetary damages, and equitable relief typically refers to injunctions, specific performance, or vacatur. And it says a court will usually award equitable remedies when a legal remedy is insufficient or inadequate. For example, courts would generally award equitable relief for a claim which involves a particular or unique piece of real estate, or if the plaintiff requests specific performance. And it goes into the origin of all this but I'm not gonna go off into that, not this time. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. When you're trying to tap off into trying to get some fairness to take place from the courts, you don't want to be requesting something that's going to empower you to shit on somebody else. I mean, don't get me wrong, it happens to us all the damn time, but in order for you to get, like, say for instance, you on child support, or my situation, my son's mom decided to keep my child from me, to keep my little boy from me, and I am using a habeas corpus. I'm going that route to do a petition for a habeas corpus, then for a writ of habeas corpus. Then I need to be honest. I got to be. I got to keep in mind that that's dealing with equity, because it says that in the statutes. So if it's dealing with an equity jurisdiction, you're trying to get some fairness to take place. And he who tries to do equity, they must do equity. That's what I was trying to look for. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, I found it. It's if you look into maxims of equity. I haven't done a video on this in a few years, actually. But I thought I'd go back to it just for the sake of, I'm not going to go through all of them. Well, I guess I can read them. It's actually quite a few of them. It's 20 of them right here. But it's actually way more than 20. But they have 20 right here. But I'm just going to read, kind of browse through them. Equity will not suffer a wrong to be without a remedy, which means, if you've been done wrong some type of way and you go the equitable route, there's going to be a remedy put in place for you to be made whole. Number 2, equity is a sort of equality. What the hell that means? They use some type of Latin language on me on there. I'm just going to read what it means. It says where two persons have an equal right, the property will be divided equally. There we go. Say this maxim flows from the fundamental notion of equality or partiality or impartiality due to the conception of equity, and is the source of many equitable doctrines. But that's what it's basically saying. When two people have a right to a property, it's going to be divided equally. So you're trying to keep in mind the word equity comes from the word equal. Okay. Let's see. Number 3, he who seeks equity must do equity. That's what I was talking about right there. To receive equitable relief, a a petitioning party must be willing to complete all of its own obligations as well. The applicant to a court of equity is just as much subject to the power of that court as the defendant. Okay, so you got to be looking for when you're trying to get what's fair. This is all it's saying. This in many ways. Number 4, equity regards as done what ought to have been done to what ought to be done. It is a fiction of equality, of equity. Sorry about that. It is a fiction of equity designed to effectuate the obvious intention of the party and to promote justice. That's a case law. Roddick versus U.S. So that's number 4 on as far as equity goes. Equity aids the vigilant. Say equity aids the vigilant, and not those who slumber on their rights. So you choose to, you're gonna be slothful about defending your rights. Equity's not going. Ain't nobody gonna fight for you. This is why there's a guy that was calling me last night, and he was asking me how to put together a trust, and I'm trying to help him understand how much of a creator he is, just like anybody else. We're all creators. And I'm like, there's no formality on creating a trust. When it comes into, what he wants to put in his trust, who he wants to make a beneficiary, who he wants to make a trustee, all these different things that how he wants to format it. He was asking me all these questions on putting his stuff together. And I wouldn't answer all his questions because I didn't want him to lean on me about it. I'm like, I've been trying to get him to put a trust together since last year. And now he's got to go to court soon. Now he's trying to put one together. So I'm not trying to let nobody hold my hand and try to do some stuff that they need to be doing on their own. You need to stop slumbering on your rights. You're not gonna get no remedy if you're gonna say you're gonna be slothful about it. And I'm not gonna be the one to try to push you to fight for yourself. That's just not me. So that's too vexing on me. Number 6, one who comes to equity must come with clean hands. If you guilty of some shit, and they got some dirt on you, that actually goes without saying, without being explained. Let's see. Number 7, equity looks to the intent rather than the form. I stated in my document that I'm gonna file. It's I'm in my document. In a nutshell, I want what's fair. And that's exactly what I stated in there. My son's mom made a comment in her answer that she don't know where I live at, and she think I'm gonna take off with my son and keep him from her, making it like I'm the one started this shit, But I put in there what my address is. This is where I live at. I don't have a problem telling you where I live since I know where you live. And I don't have a problem, with the travel, the drop off, meet up. I want 50-50. Our son needs equal time with his mom and his father, not just you. And so it needs to be down the middle, the same way I said from the beginning. But now that I said it with her, to her in private, but I've also said it to, years ago, but she just totally just ignored me anyway. But in my paperwork, I was still kind of wrestling with the words on how to actually basically word my paperwork. But now I guess probably because there was a lot of turmoil going on inside of me as well. Because I was still kind of just frustrated about what was happening and all the things I've been through. So it's kind of hard for me to think with equality in my mind at first. Because I'm thinking, anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But I wasn't thinking equity. I wasn't thinking with equity at first. And I guess probably because I'm so much at peace now with what's going on. I'm not stressed. I'm not crying myself to sleep like I was. And I've done that before. So I'm in a good place now. So it's easy for me to move. And I'm more subtle. Now, let's see. Number 8. I'm just going to stop at number 10. It's 20. I ain't going to do 20 because we already got 20 minutes. Okay, equity imputes an intention to fulfill an obligation. Okay. Equity acts in personam. Let me read the part on what it means by that. This maxim states that equity relates to a person rather than their property. It applies to property outside a jurisdiction, provided that a defendant is within the jurisdiction. Okay. Now, equity follows the law. Okay. Let's see. Courts will firstly apply common law, and if it is not fair, then an equitable remedy will be provided. This maxim sets out that the equity is not in place to overrule judgments in common law, but rather to make sure that parties don't suffer an injustice. This is exactly what equity is all about. It's all about what's fair. And if you want what's fair, you need to make sure you state in your paperwork. That's what make it known. First, you gotta get your mind right. Get your fucking mind right before you go at these people trying to get some remedy. And if your mind is not settled, you're not spiritually grounded, you're not at peace within, then it's gonna be hard to get remedy. So you gotta make sure your mind is right. Some of y'all get around people that they're them are naysayers, and they keep up strife. They keep you in doubt. They keep you, they keep you confused. They keep you angry. They keep you thinking, oh, these people just do what they want to do, as if there's no solution out here at all. I don't want to talk to none of them people. Stay the fuck away from me, because those people, their minds are not right, and they're not putting any positive seeds within me. They're messing my energy up. So you want your energy to be right when you're trying to come to these people for some remedy, okay? So you got to make sure your mind is right. That way you can come equitably and you can get your remedy a lot easier. I just thought I'd make this video to kind of throw that out there. So hopefully y'all, you can take what you can from this video. Hopefully I, empower some of you all and encourage you to get to get everything in here, get that right when you're trying to move with these people. And you can also think a lot clearer too. You can understand remedy a hell of a lot easier when you actually clearing your mind. And anyway, that's all I can say, y'all. If like and subscribe if you haven't done so also, and shoot me a comment. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll go forward from there. See y'all in the next video, y'all.